Today we're looking at 20 real estate exam questions on sales contracts. I hope you do well. If you like this type of content, if it's helping you out, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Also check our channel out. We have hundreds of real estate test questions. Good luck. What is the primary purpose of a sales contract in real estate transactions? A, to outline the buyer's financial history. B, to transfer ownership of personal property. C, to detail the terms and conditions of the sale of real property. D, to serve as a rental agreement. C, to detail the terms and conditions of the sale of real property. The primary purpose of a sales contract in real estate is to outline the terms and conditions agreed upon by the buyer and seller for the transfer of real property. Who typically signs the sales contract first in a real estate transaction? A, the buyer. B, the seller. C, the real estate agent. D, the mortgage lender. A, the buyer. The buyer typically signs the sales contract first, making an offer to the seller. The seller then reviews the offer and signs if they accept the terms. What is included in the sales price section of a real estate sales contract? A, the interest rate on the buyer's mortgage. B, the total amount the buyer agrees to pay for the property. C, the cost of home repairs. D, the property tax rate. B, the total amount the buyer agrees to pay for the property. The sales price section of a real estate sales contract specifies the total amount the buyer agrees to pay the seller for the property. What does the earnest money deposit in a sales contract represent? A, the full down payment. B, a good faith deposit by the buyer. C, the closing cost. D, the buyer's monthly mortgage payment. B, a good faith deposit by the buyer. The earnest money deposit is a good faith deposit made by the buyer to show their commitment to purchasing the property. Which of the following is not typically a contingency found in a sales contract? A, financing contingency. B, home inspection contingency. C, appraisal contingency. D, rental income contingency. Rental income contingency. Common contingencies in sales contracts include financing, home inspection, and appraisal contingencies. A rental income contingency is not typical in a standard sales contract. What is the purpose of a home inspection contingency in a sales contract? A, to allow the buyer to back out if the home appraises for less than the purchase price. B, to provide the buyer an opportunity to have the property professionally inspected for defects. C, to ensure the buyer secures financing. D, to guarantee the seller repairs all defects. B, to provide the buyer an opportunity to have the property professionally inspected for defects. A home inspection contingency allows the buyer to have the property inspected for any defects or issues before finalizing the purchase. In a sales contract, what is meant by the term closing date? A, the date the buyer submits the earnest money. B, the date the property officially transfers from the seller to the buyer. C, the date the home inspection occurs. D, the date the buyer receives mortgage approval. B, the date the property officially transfers from the seller to the buyer. The closing date is the agreed upon date when the property ownership is transferred from the seller to the buyer. What is a title contingency in a sales contract? A clause that requires the buyer to obtain a mortgage. B, a condition that the seller must provide clear and marketable title. C, a requirement for the property to appraise at or above the purchase price. D, a clause that allows the buyer to inspect the property. B, a condition that the seller must provide clear and marketable title. A title contingency ensures that the seller provides a clear and marketable title to the property, free of liens and encumbrances. Before we move on, we've got many more questions to go, but if we've helped you in any way, please take time to like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you don't miss our videos, and comment below. Also check our channel out. We have hundreds of real estate exam questions. So here we go. What does the as-is clause in a sales contract mean? A, the seller will make all necessary repairs before closing. B, the property is sold in its current condition without any repairs. C, the buyer can request repairs after closing. D, the seller will lower the price if defects are found. B, the property is sold in its current condition without any repairs. An as-is clause means the property is being sold in its current condition, and the seller will not make any repairs or improvements. What is the consequence if a buyer fails to secure financing as per a financing contingency? A, the contract is automatically terminated. B, the buyer must proceed with the purchase. C, the seller can increase the sales price. D, the buyer is entitled to a refund of the earnest money deposit. D, the buyer is entitled to a refund of the earnest money deposit. If the buyer fails to secure financing and the financing contingency is not met, the contract is typically terminated and the buyer is entitled to a refund of the earnest money deposit. Which of the following best describes a counteroffer? A, a new offer made in response to the original offer. B, a rejection of the original offer. C, an acceptance of the original offer without changes. D, a request for more information about the property. A new offer made in response to the original offer. A counteroffer is a new offer made by one party in response to the original offer, usually with modifications to the terms. What is the escrow period in a real estate transaction? A, the time between the acceptance of the offer and the buyer's move-in date. B, the period during which the buyer and seller fulfill all contract conditions before closing. C, the time the property is listed on the market. D, the period the buyer has to secure financing. B, the period during which the buyer and seller fulfill all contract conditions before closing. The escrow period is the time between the acceptance of the offer and the closing date, during which all contractual conditions must be met. Which of the following is typically included in the property description section of a sales contract? A, the buyer's financing terms, B, the property's legal description, C, the closing cost, D, the earnest money deposit amount. B, the property's legal description. The property description section of a sales contract includes the legal description of the property, ensuring clarity about what is being bought and sold. In a sales contract, who is responsible for conducting the title search? A, the buyer, B, the seller, C, the title company or attorney, D, the real estate agent. C, the title company or attorney. The title search is typically conducted by the title company or an attorney to ensure that the property has clear title before the sale is completed. What is the purpose of a proration clause in a sales contract? A, to divide expenses such as property taxes and utilities between the buyer and seller. B, to adjust the purchase price. C, to allocate closing costs. D, to specify the earnest money deposit. A, to divide expenses such as property taxes and utilities between the buyer and seller. A proration clause divides expenses such as property taxes, homeowners association fees, and utilities between the buyer and seller based on the date of closing. What does specific performance mean in the context of a sales contract breach? A, the buyer pays a penalty fee. B, the seller forfeits the earnest money deposit. C, the court orders the breaching party to perform according to the contract. D, the contract is automatically voided. C, the court orders the breaching party to perform according to the contract. Specific performance is a legal remedy where the court orders the breaching party to fulfill their contractual obligations rather than just paying damages. Which party typically pays for the appraisal in a real estate transaction? A, the buyer, B, the seller, C, the real estate agent, D, the mortgage lender. A, the buyer. The buyer typically pays for the appraisal, which is often required by the lender to ensure the property is worth the purchase price. What is the purpose of an addendum in a sales contract? A, to void the original contract. B, to modify or add to the terms of the original contract. C, to request additional earnest money. D, to change the legal description of the property. B, to modify or add to the terms of the original contract. An addendum is used to modify or add terms to the original contract without invalidating it. What does the term liquidated damages refer to in a sales contract? A, the earnest money deposit amount. B, predetermined damages agreed upon in the contract in case of a breach. C, the buyer's mortgage amount. D, the cost of home repairs. B, predetermined damages agreed upon in the contract in case of a breach. Liquidated damages are a predetermined amount specified in the contract that one party will pay to the other in the event of a breach. What happens if a sales contract does not specify the closing date? A, the contract is considered invalid. B, the closing date is automatically set 30 days from the contract date. C, the closing date is determined by mutual agreement between the buyer and seller. D, the contract defaults to the date of the buyer's mortgage approval. C, the closing date is determined by mutual agreement between the buyer and seller. If the sales contract does not specify a closing date, it must be determined by mutual agreement between the buyer and seller. Well, I hope you did well on the test today. If we helped you, please take time to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and comment below. Also, check out our channel. We have hundreds of real estate exam questions that are going to help you pass your real estate exam. Thanks. Have a great day.